कहत कबीर सुनो भाई साधो, कहत कबीर सुनो भाई साधो, अरे कहत कबीर सुनो भाई साधो, कहत कबीर सुनो भाई साधो। साहब मिले सबूरी में, अरे साहब मिले सबूरी में, मन लागो यार फकीरी में।
All the classes you have sat in, all the money you have paid for truth. Something must be wrong though, if your eye still wanders through the streets acting like a beggar. Why not try this? Why not try this? Let all the fake teachers starve. Why not try this? Let all the fake teachers starve. Picture one of the great masters in your mind. Put your lips against his cheek each morning. Picture one of the great masters in your mind. Put your lips against his cheek each morning. Say and keep saying, "Dear beloved, pinch me. I want proof you are near. A love bruise on my rump would do. A love bruise on my rump will do. I want proof you are near." What is near? What is near? To us, as we are persons, only the facts of living are near. Hafiz is saying, only that teacher is the real one who belongs to the near. Otherwise, he's a fake teacher and he should be allowed to starve. Don't go to him. Pertinent then it is to ask, what is the near? What is near to you? What is near to you? This sheet of paper is near. As person, that is what you find near. This roof is near, this place is near, that cup is near, that table is near, the waking up is near, the food is near, the persons you meet is near, the daily routine is near, the life that you live is near. And that is the only test of the right teacher. Is he talking concepts or is he talking daily life? Is he able to relate you to the direct and present facts of your life? Or is he talking about only the big things? The beyond, the transcendental, the witness. Brahm, self. One does not live in concepts. One does not breathe concepts, eat concepts, sleep with words. Concepts will not offer peace to you. Insight does not come by studying and memorizing concepts. Insight comes when you are able to pierce directly into the immediate, present, intimate fact. Insight does not come when the teacher answers a question, because answering questions is so easy. All questions belong to a few basic varieties. You can compartmentalize them and have ready-made answers prepared. All the ready-made answers just need to be customized a little according to the situation of the questioner. And you can very well have one answer that you can keep repeating in various garbs. You can keep bringing down everything to, okay, who is the questioner? Why are you asking this? From where is this coming? From which center is this arising? And everything can be brought down to that. But does that help you? Really? Hafiz is asking, don't you see that you have been roaming the streets like a beggar just as you were always roaming? What then is the utility of such a teacher to your life? Has he really brought about any genuine change in you? Or has he just given you more to think about, more concepts, and hence more burden on the mind? The real teacher connects you to the very fact of your living. He asks you, what are you eating? Do you know why you are attracted to that kind of stuff? He asks you, do you know why you are in that relationship? He won't ask you, did you meditate today? He would ask you, were you honest today? Did you really acknowledge why you went to that particular place today? Do you know why you kept sleeping till late? Do you know why you escaped that person? And in this, no scripture is involved, and in this, no training helps. Because life is forever new. Life situations are forever new. And the real teacher is a player of the new, a master of the new. He uses the new as a tool, as an example. He is not afraid of encountering the new. His delight is when a new situation is presented to him. And every situation is new, provided you don't insist on making it stale. You come up with a query to him, and he'll be able to respond with the direct facts of your life. His answers will not be answers coming from a textbook. His answers will not be the answers that he has inherited from some other teacher. In fact, the real teacher will never belong to a tradition. He will never say that such and such was my guru and before him that was the guru. The real teacher does not deal in the old. He does not borrow his words from some other realized master. His methods are not the same that somebody else has used. Life is forever new. How can old methods be useful? You are not the same as the other person. In fact, you are not even the same as the one you were 2 hours back. Then how can the method that was applicable 2 hours back be applicable right now? The real teacher enables you to live in the new. He is close, very, very close. He is not a distant fatherly figure standing on a pedestal. He is human. He is somebody you can touch. He is somebody you can relate to. He is somebody who talks your language. He is somebody who knows your mind. He does not talk a university syllabus. He does not talk a particular theory or ism. He will not say, I am a master of this particular technique. He has no technique, and that is why he has a million techniques. He looks at you. His concern is you. And you have your million colors. Corresponding to each of the colors, there is a solution. Hafiz is warning us. He is saying, do not deceive yourself. Do not be so self-indulgent that you refuse to see that you have been wasting your precious time, energy, money with fake teachers. He's asking, have you really been helped? And the test he is suggesting is, are your eyes still looking for more? If you are still roaming about the streets like a beggar, then you must know that your teacher is himself a beggar. Two beggars coming together won't produce a millionaire. But if you carry a particular image of a teacher and you judge a teacher by that image, then you will be mistaken. People have always been mistaken. People are mistaken today, people are mistaken here in this place, and people were mistaken where Hafiz lived in his times. Since we are a crowd, we love to follow the crowds. So we won't see whether we have actually been unburdened. We would rather see where the crowds are all going in the morning. And let me join them. Would you live your life or the life of your neighbor? What's your concern? Your own well-being? Or your identification with a crowd? Ask your teacher, how have you influenced my daily life? Do not tell me that you have given me something to meditate on. Do not tell me that you have given me half an hour of practice daily. Tell me how I am living the entire 24 hours of the day. And are you with me then? Will your theoretical teaching help me then? Will I turn to old concepts to face new life situations? Life is demanding a response. Will I immediately jump into a yoga posture? Is that the solution to life's questions? The house of the neighbor is burning in front of my eyes. Will I close my eyes and start meditating? Where I ask ready-made questions. Koham, who am I? And give myself ready-made answers. I am pure Brahm, essential being, silence. Will that help? Does that really help? Can you be a little honest and acknowledge it does not help? How does it help to keep parroting that you are Brahm? Life accepts no fake answers. Yes, if the intention is self-deception, then you can carry on. You know what is the mark of the Guru? He does not allow the status quo to continue. He is a liberator. He will never tell you that you can do better in your life by following such method. He will not say that when you are educated in the office, then you can practice this kind of meditation. You go to a teacher and say, you know, when I am in the office, often I face fits of nervousness, bouts of depression. I sweat, I do not like it there. I have palpitations. What to do? The fake teacher will give you a method to calm down in such a situation. He will say, next time in your office, you start feeling depressed, you start having a nervous breakdown, try this method. Ask yourself, who is having a nervous breakdown? Ask yourself, who is the depressed one? The real teacher has no interest in perpetuating the status quo. He will say, to hell with that office, leave that office, that is the only solution. Now, leaving that office, leaving the comfort and security of an established job or established relationship requires guts. You would not like that answer. You want your world to continue. So you like that teacher who enables your world to continue in a better way. Remember, the same world but in a more lubricated way. The real teacher has no intention of preserving your world. He says, as long as there are jobs of this kind, wherever you are, your situation would remain the same. Unless you are committed to a total departure from this kind of a life, you keep facing the same suffering. He will not give you tranquilizers. He will give you a real solution. And the real solution dissolves not only the problem, but also you who are wedded to the problem. And that is why you do not like the real teacher. Because he is not only a problem solver, he solves you as well. You went to get your problem cured, and you didn't return. Because you too have been cured. You were the problem. So you went in and didn't return. Now you don't want such a teacher. It's a very dangerous satsang. You go in but never come out. It has started happening here. You want a teacher who sings you a lori. You know a lori? What do you call it in English? A lullaby. The stuff that mothers use to put the young ones to sleep. So it's a beautiful satsang. You can go there and then relax somewhere in the back. And you can even have a room at the back where you can go and pass away. The real teacher wakes you up, shocks you up, even beats you up if you do not open your eyes. He will not allow you to continue sleeping. His words fall upon you like whiplashes. He sings you no sweet song. do not like it, right? You do not like a teacher with a whip in his hand or a sword in his hand. India has had that. Here, all the teachers that we have had, or rather most of them, were carrying weapons. What do you think? The weapons were there to fight the evil? No. The weapons were there to treat the disciples. But you like teachers who stand like this. The real teacher would never stand like this in front of you. Ever seen a Krishna standing like this? He is carrying the chakra, and the chakra does not console, it kills. Seen Ram? He is carrying the bow and the arrow. Seen the Sikh Gurus? They are all fighters. You know the story of the Panch Pyare. Guru Gobind Singh calls his 5 most important disciples and says, I want your blood. That's the real Guru. He settles at nothing less than your head. He wants your head and you would have it. He does not want your respect, your money, anything from you. You can keep disrespecting him. He will do his work. You can keep doubting him. He would still continue. How easily have you forgotten that Jesus said that I come with a sword? I come not for peace, I come to set the son against the father and the daughter against the mother. That's the real teacher. He will not allow the status quo to continue. He has no concern for your world. He has concern for you. And if you attain to peace only upon the dissolution of your world, then let such a world be absolutely demolished. Was Jesus a sweet one? No, but he lived with his friends. He was a part of their lives. He was not upon a pedestal. He was touchable. He was human. He sheds blood. And he gets angry. You remember how he beat up the money chargers? He's not always showing a sweet face, a nice smile. And that is why only 11 came to him. Hafiz is warning us. He's saying that just as the other choices of your life have been improper, if you choose your guru, then even that choice will be improper. And isn't it quite amusing. I have chosen everything wrongly, hence now I need a guru to help me choose rightly. I have chosen everything wrongly, and to correct that, now I am choosing a guru. If I have been choosing everything wrongly, then will I choose a guru rightly? But no, we insist that no, everything else we have chosen wrongly, but the guru will choose rightly. The fact is, you choose a guru just as you choose everything else. Just as you go to watch the shows that everybody else is watching, similarly you go to the guru everybody else is going to. Just as you wear brands that are popular, just as you watch soap operas that everybody sees, that have high TRPs, just as you flock the entertainment places where everybody else is seen, similarly we also choose gurus. It's not something new. Hafiz would have seen a lot of that. That's why he has dedicated an entire verse to it. The mind of man is the same. The same man, the same mind. I ask this to you again and again. How is it possible that the same mind chose death for Jesus? It was an entire city that chose that, right? Not one man, not one conspirator, an entire city. How is it possible that to Jesus you give death and to your gurus you give so much respect? Then surely your gurus are doing something that Jesus did not do. And surely your gurus are not doing something that Jesus did. Otherwise, how is it possible? We have not changed. We are the same population of Jerusalem. And Jerusalem too was a religious center, like Rishikesh. How is it possible that to Jesus we give death and to the various others we give adulation? If Jesus comes today in front of you, what do you think? We will like him? Did we like Jesus? Did we like a Buddha? Did we like Mahavir? Did we like Mansoor? We liked all the phonies, all the fake ones. The Buddha was stoned. Mahavir was troubled in 100 ways. The teacher is the final hope. He is the liberator. He is the final medicine. If even the final medicine goes wrong, then one is doomed. So please be very careful there. Yes, which one?
No, I think 11.
11th. Buttering the sky. Slipping on my shoes, boiling water, toasting bread, buttering the sky. That should be enough contact with God in one day to make anyone crazy. Slipping on my shoes, boiling water, toasting bread, buttering the sky, that should be enough contact with God in one day to make anyone crazy. And that is life. That is just what we talked of a while back. That is life. Toasting bread, tying your shoelaces, putting on your trousers, talking to your kids, watering the plants, the glance at the neighbor, driving your car. That is life. That is life. And if that is not proper, if that is all not all right, if there you do not have right action, then where else would you find peace? Would you construct a 25th and a 26th hour of the day as the peace hour? Peace has to be found in the middle of life, in the middle of the traffic. Only there can you come in contact with God. You won't come in contact with God, I repeat, by closing your eyes in a particular posture. You have to come in contact with God when you are walking your dog. When you are servicing your car. When you are cleaning your clothes. And if there you are not in touch with the direct fact of living, why am I ordering this food? Why do I need that car? What does this animal mean to me? Why have I come to this place? If one is blind to these simple questions, to these direct facts, then God is not for you. And if you are in touch with these facts, then you need not bother about God. Facts are very, very close to the truth. The one who honestly comes in touch with facts finds that the truth is right there. If you're standing on the ground of facts, then the door to truth is right in front of you. Nowhere else. And this, by the way, also tells us the only rightful method of meditation. This verse contains a very important sutra. Living simply and living honestly is the only method of meditation possible. Constant meditativeness. Meditative while washing the car, meditative while driving the car, meditative while parking the car, meditative while bumping the car, meditative while claiming the insurance, and meditative while selling off the car. That is the only meditation possible. Would be quite funny to drive the car with your legs upon your shoulders. Some particular yoga posture. I do not know whether the law of your country allows that. In India, anything goes. Have you ever seen any animal trying such fancy acrobatics? They are all right with their body. Everything in existence is all right with itself. Only man feels the need to take his hand here and then bring it up here and then stretch it like this and then get himself photographed and put it up on the wall. I have never seen my pet cat do that. And she's alright. Cats, dogs, rabbits, rivers, fountains, sky, stars, mountains. None of them are so mad that they would try that kind of stuff. Only man. A python lives the way a python must live. A python does not try the deer pose. Why then does man try the snake pose? Have you ever seen a deer trying man pose? Manasana? Then why is man trying deer asana? Another kind of ambition. Right? Another achievement. See mama, what did I do? Just as a 6-year-old you would bring that little trophy home. See mama what I've got. Rather, pay attention to the way you are in front of your boss. See how you change the moment you come out of your office. See how the personality flips when you are in front of your wife compared to when you are in front of your mother. See how you try to act cool in your friend circle. See how the smallest news of loss rattles you. Pay attention to all of that and honestly acknowledge that. That's where liberation lies. That's where God lies. Hafiz is delivering a simple message. It is only for the simple minds. If you have a clever and complex and calculative mind, then you will fail to see the simple thing that Hafiz is saying. You will come up with a lot of arguments, a lot of resistance. People like Hafiz are like kids. They mingle well only with kids. If you are too grown up, then you will refuse Hafiz. Unfortunately, many of us are just too mature.